Hello everybody and welcome to Front Row Racing on this rather hot and sunny Wednesday evening as we get ready for the Front Row Racing World Championship Reserves Round 19 from Mexico. Now, your commentary team this evening is going to be Lord JB, it's going to be Front Row Racing GP and myself, Front Row Racing DP. However, we have got Lord JB on the cameras tonight as well, so we're going to find out how we get on there and how Jack gets on there. Obviously, if we do have any technical issues, we have got backups in place if we do need to start a new live stream. But anyway, over to your commentary team, Lord JB and Front Row Racing GP.
Thanks, Dave, and I am definitely not scared about this. So, Steve, how are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing rather well. Yeah, big day for you. Got your big boy pants on, and
I have not. I'm wearing my pyjamas.
Yeah, big day for you. You've been in commentary box obviously before, but taking up the cameras a little bit more responsibility for you there, and I'm pretty confident that you're going to be able to deal with it rather well. Shall we have a look at who we've got on the grid today so far?
Yes, we shall. We do have a few drivers missing. We are not entirely confident knowing why they are, but let's have a look at the drivers we do have in here before we notify who aren't in here. So in the Mercedes, we have Kane Iander and Curly Worley. Is that a new team up, or have they teamed up before?
It's a new team for... Sorry, Dave, yeah, go on.
I was going to say, it is a new team for this week. Kane Iander and Curly Worley teamed up first time in the World Championship Reserves.
Oh, excuse me, but they are both very fast drivers, so it could be interesting to see how well they do around this circuit. In the Ferrari, the usual pairing of Danny Railton and Dave the Harp. The usual suspects, those two, aren't they?
Definitely are. You never know where they might come, actually. They might be at the back, they might be on the podium. We'll have to wait and see.
In the Williams solitary, we have Tarjam, who was a in the wings driver. We don't know much about him.
We don't. All we know is he's requested to join the league. He's a friend of one of the other drivers. We've only known him for about an hour, to be honest with you. So one to look out for.
In the Red Bull solitary is not solitary, it's normal. Why am I saying that? But it's just in the solitary Red Bull we have Schmidt. How's Schmidt done this series? He's been on the podium a few times, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He's a very quick driver, a very quiet person until race day, and then he likes to say his piece every now and again. He's been very busy today chatting away in the Facebook chat for the drivers. So yeah, he'll be in the Red Bull.
In the Force India, we have Farfborough and RDB. Are these two? Is this their first time teaming up, or are they from the other league?
They are from the World Series, which is our assists allowed league, and they are a team together in there. They're known as the Hey Ho Double Toe, or whatever it is, Force India. I'm pretty sure DP knows the name better than I do.
I think it is Hey Ho Double Toe.
It is the Hey Ho Double Toe Force India team, yeah, from the World Series.
Yeah.
Quite topical if you'd watched the last race.
Yeah, and they're taking their assists off for this one, and could be quite interesting to watch them. But depends on how long they're on circuit for, to be honest with you. But we'll see how they get on. Who else we got?
The walls are beckoning. No drivers, not many drivers have selected their teams for now. But down in the Haas, we do have Hindle all on his own. And I'm just going to say this now. That player icon he's using does look remarkably like Valentino Rossi.
Well, interesting thing as well about RDB and Farfborough is that anyone that's in the Front Row Racing drivers chat is aware that Ant69 from the World Series has decided to try and take up a bit of no assist driving. And I think RDB and Farfborough have kind of gone, well, if you're going to do it, we're going to do it, and we're going to get into this race straight away. Whereas Ant69's looking at an appearance for Brazil, I believe. So RDB and Farfborough trying to show Ant69 how to do things, I think. Just to let you know, I am about to send invites into the World Championship drivers who are allowed to join when we've got space available in the World Championship Reserve. So I'm just in the process of getting those invites ready, and I'll let you know when I've sent them out.
Okay, thank you, Dave. I'm not as brave as these two are. I wouldn't be. Well, firstly, I can barely drive without my traction control on, but them stretching their wings out, maybe they'd maybe they'd team up with the Force India team in the main league and call it the Hey Ho Double Toe 2.
Well, possibly. There's also the possibility of calling it Hey Ho No Toe, because they've taken the assists off.
Good point, yeah.
Talking about... Go on, Dave.
I was going to say, just a question for you. When obviously we're at the Mexico circuit, what are your thoughts about this as a track? Because, I mean, you two are of like, two completely different generations, so I'm just curious about what your guys' thoughts are on the Mexico from yesteryear and Mexico now, so to speak.
I'll let you go first, Steve.
He's calling me old.
Age before beauty, my dear.
Thing is, what it is, Mexico circuit, I just have this one memory about it, and that is Mansell going round the outside, round the Paratada, which was the last corner, which is now known as the Mansell curve or the Mansell bend. But to me, it'll always be the Paratada, and it was an unbelievable overtake round the outside. I mean, another thing about that bend is Senna went round there and rolled it upside down. Obviously, when you roll it, you go upside down. But he rolled it into the gravel and ended up on the wall upside down in his McLaren. And it's one of those corners that was iconic. But they've taken it away now, and for me, it's just taken something away from the circuit. And instead, we've got this little Mickey Mouse corners inside a baseball stadium when we should be flying at 160 mile an hour around the outside of it. That's my opinion.
It is a questionable choice to take out such an iconic corner, which is much like if you took Maggots and Beckett's out of Silverstone, no one would be happy. But the atmosphere, the way that they fought the fans before the drivers for that, I quite admire, you know.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, just to let you know, I have sent invites out to the World Championship drivers, so we'll give it a moment to give them a chance to jump in if they're available too, before we send the drivers over to the racetrack. I mean, my comments about Mexico is, I always said the old track was a better track. That wasn't until I recently raced on the old Mexico track. Because I think there's a few corners there I've perhaps forgotten about. I can honestly say, I agree, the old last corner should have stayed. They should have done whatever they could to have kept that corner in there. However, I think the rest of the layout is better now than it used to be. However, I just don't like those big tarmac runoff areas. If they made it grass and they had a bit of camber to the racetrack, it would be so much better.
So we now know that Dave was looking at the old circuit through rose-tinted glasses.
Oh yes.
Talking about the old circuit, I've driven the old circuit like Dave has, and to be honest with you, I went into the second sector and I was like, hang on a minute, where's this going? I don't remember this. And to be honest with you, all I remembered was the last corner. And the last corner, the reason why from what I'm aware, is they changed it because apparently there's not enough runoff road. Well, what the hell do they do at Monaco about runoff road?
Yeah, that's a
it's
good point.
Called a river.
They're not going anywhere near as high speeds. I was going to send out another round of invites to the World Championship drivers. Steve, I was just wondering if you want to perhaps touch a little bit on the important post that was put out on the Front Row Racing Facebook page yesterday.
Important post? I don't think it was that important.
Oh, well.
But it was, I suppose.
I haven't dropped my job application yet, have I?
We've had some. So let's touch on it. I'm going to just explain quickly what it is, because I don't want to just talk about it and not explain what it is. Post went on the Facebook page yesterday, late, I think it was about 8 PM. Feel free to have a look at it while we're waiting for the drivers to jump in, but don't obviously jump off Facebook, otherwise you're going to hear me talking. I mean off YouTube, sorry. But anyway, post that went on basically says that this season that we're in now is going to be mine and DP's last season as admins at Front Row Racing. We are both taking our full-time retirement at the end of this season. But we have been on the lookout for possible new admins and people that may also be able to broadcast and do other little jobs as drivers to help out and things like that. But if you are interested in helping out in any way, there's a list of things on that Facebook post to say that basically explains a little bit there about the positions that could be filled. Because it's not just me and DP that are taking a step back. There are a couple of other admins that are not as active as they used to be. So there's quite a bit there. So if you see yourself as the next Murray Walker or the next James Hunt, or in DP's case, Ted Crabsticks, then yeah, drop us a message on the Facebook page. Say, I don't mind helping out with the World Series on the commentaries, or I fancy doing a bit of broadcasting, or there's also the possibility of being an organiser, being the main admin for one of the leagues. And don't forget, at the moment, there's 4 leagues that's being run. There's the World Series Reserves, World Championship, and the World Championship Reserves. So there's plenty of spaces there for people. And yeah, so if you are interested, drop an application in at Front Row Racing Facebook page. Like I said, we've already had a couple, and yeah, some interesting reads on those applications so far.
Yeah, definitely right. Okay, I've hit ready, so we're going to head over to the track, and if any of the drivers join late, and they're already late, obviously, World Championship drivers, we allow them to come in to just prop up the lobby a little bit. But, Jack, as you know, what's the situation with the World Championship drivers when we get to the racetrack?
We are not as bothered as we should be. No, they're only here for a very much as a test session compared to the World Series reserve drivers, who for them it's their main race, qualifying a race.
Reserve drivers, but it's okay.
Even though some of them are from the World Series, but yeah, the World Championship reserve drivers. What tyre compounds do we have here, Jack? And what is the mandatory tyres?
Well, right now we're still loading. So we have the soft, the super softs, and the mediums. The mediums and the softs are the mandatory tyre. I don't know how bad the wear is, honestly, but in theory they could do a one-stop if they went soft medium or super soft medium.
Super soft medium, it can be done, but it's not easy. If the weather in Mexico is scorching hot, which quite often it can be, that can have a massive effect on the tyre life here. So we need to keep an eye on that temperature, because it might dictate whether it's a one-stop or a two-stop.
Okay. So we're just heading around over onto the track now, and let's have a look at the weather once it loads, because it's being mean. Right.
And if anyone's wondering, we've not forgotten to do question of the day yet. We'll come to that when we've got a moment.
Because the fact is, me and Dave don't know what it is, and we came over about 2 minutes before the broadcast started, so...
That is true. They're usually the quite interesting ones. I'm interested, though, I mean, as you touched on, what the weather's going to be like, and it's not looking really hot and sunny out there at the moment, given it, that we're in Mexico.
No, the track temperature is only 29 degrees, whereas in the race it's going to be 31 degrees. So, no rain on the horizon. I think that, many of the drivers will be punching the air for that one, because this track in the wet is quite difficult.
It is. I've just heard from my engineer as well that there's no chance of rain, so I don't think I'm going to get any of that. But with the temperatures that we've got in the race, there may be some people expecting to do a one-stop that may struggle with those temperatures.
Yeah, it could be, but then they could just go fast, quick, fast first time, like drain the fuel, unless the fuel. Well, I don't even know what the fuel usage around this track. How is it, Steve?
It's not too bad, because in the second and third sector you can actually run a lean engine and not lose too much time. So you can actually underfuel your car around here and run it rich on the 2 long straights and benefit by running it lean in the other sectors. So yeah, you can run pretty skinny on the fuel.
Well, something I was going to mention was to do with temperatures, but also the World Series drivers or the World Series reserve drivers that are taking part in this event. And we were riding on board with Hindle a moment ago. Something they've got to be aware of is how their brakes are going to react in qualifying, when you don't get a lot of time to get them up to temperature, but also at the start of the race, because those guys from the assist side of the league, they're used to being able to barrel up to turn 1, bang the brakes on, not worry about locking up if they use ABS. But as I just saw with Hindle, he approached turn 1 straight out of the pits in a big lockup, showing just how cold his brakes are and how cold the tyres are. That's something these guys are going to have to be careful of. And obviously Hindle's a World Series champion, and in the title fight to become a 2-time World Series champion. So it's not like he's not a capable driver, but Mexico could throw up some problems for a few people.
Yeah, the braking zones aren't quite short and sharp, and if your brakes aren't there, they are not going to be happy with you. I did see that he seems to be fighting the traction a lot. It is a big learning curve to jump from assist to just straight up no assist, no transition period. And if they just turned up without any practice, and it's just, you know, it's your own fault if you crash.
Yeah, well, just seeing Hindle now breaking down for turn 1. He's got the brakes on quite nicely there for that. No lock-up on his flying lap. Opens his DRS, heading now towards the end of sector 1, and he's going to go and do a 29.6. That's not too bad for his first run. He might get... Oh, he's bailed out of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he bailed out of it. I think he just got an overspit of traction at the back and just span up the rears.
Oh well, that's that lap gone for him then, unfortunately. I'll have a look, see what else is happening.
Yeah. Personally, if I was going out, which I would never do because I'm not this brave, but if I was going out into this league without any experience, or if I had tried and I thought, well, I'll wing it on the day, I would have gone out on the hardest compound tyre, which is a soft tyre in qualifying, and just did continuous laps to try and build myself up to it. Not gone for any fast lap.
That'd be a good idea. Tarjam, new driver, just crossed the line. He's going to put it on provisional pole, the 1:19.8. That's not a bad time, but I expect it to be beaten.
But Danny Railton's in sector 2 at the moment on the soft compound tyre that JB was just talking about.
Well, I'm just looking at Kane Ianda, who's done a 28.9 in the first sector.
That's a good time, that is.
That is a good time.
But he's gone majorly wide coming just before the stadium section. But I don't think it's affected his time too much. Sector 2 being a 29.5. Stadium section. I do like the stadium section. Just with the drivers being within spitting distance of the cars. I enjoy that. I wish more big oversteer from coming from the rear of the car, but it's braked very hard straight at the line. I don't know what was going on there.
I think that was not wanting to set a time that's too quick so he can possibly beat it on the soft compound tyre.
Yeah.
It's probably a strategy that I have seen drivers do that this season.
Yeah, I have as well. Just to let you know, David Harp starting a flying lap on the soft compound tyre, and Danny Railton put himself in 3rd with his lap time.
I think that time was beaten by Kane.
Kane's, it was, yep.
Yeah, it's interesting to see them bail out of the laps so quickly. I mean, for me, I think of myself as an ish F1 driver, like a Jolie and Palmer level F1 driver, but from 2016, not current year, because that's not going exactly well down at Renault, is it?
Not really, no. I'm looking at David Hart though. He had a bit of an off. I didn't quite see exactly what happened.
Luckily for you, I did.
In the start of sector 2. I know the stream caught it as well, but I missed it on my screen and on the stream. 29.9 sector 1 time. That's 3/10 off what Danny Railton did on the soft compound tyre. But this middle sector, it is a fantastic sector when you can get it right.
And that's never when I'm driving through it.
Oh, no comment.
Wait till tomorrow.
I mean, the thing is though, setup around here is so difficult to get right as well, because you don't want to be slow on the straight, but you need to be able to get through the corners. And like I say, that middle sector, okay, if you go for top speed on the main straight, you might lose half a second in the middle sector. Well, if you try and get that half a second back with aerodynamics, you've got to make sure that you don't lose that half a second in that sector 1.
Yeah, it is. For me, it's a very Baku-esque circuit with the with not wanting to lose time at the end of the I think it's the... Is it the final second? Pardon?
Sorry, Danny Roughton has done a 29.0 Sector 1 time on the soft compound tyre. It might be worth having a look at him and seeing how his rest of his lap gets on. And
Sorry to cut you off there, Dave.
Look at who else is out there.
But
I was just going to say, Curly Whirly, he is on an out lap. I'll let you know when he's starting his flying lap.
Well, I've just, as I was clicking through to find Danny, I just found Farfborough and he was facing the wrong direction. So I think that steep learning curve is has popped up a bit there.
Was he testing the limits of grip of the tyres?
I think right now he's testing the limits of the grip of his car. It is weird jumping from a car that feels like it's magnetised to the ground to one that feels like it's just being held on by a pin.
Danny Roughton, Danny Roughton has just gone and put himself pole, so
fantastic.
Didn't jump on board with him. Just a bit of a tip and advice there. If you do see someone spinning and having a crash, great stuff for catching it, but then get on board with whoever's going quick.
Curly Whirly's just done a 28.8 Sector 1.
Well, that's fast. Well, that is very fast.
And for anyone that is wondering, obviously we'll mention it again, it is Lord JB's first live stream, so we're not going to hold it against him if he has any technical issues throughout the session. Are we, Steve?
No, not at all. Not till afterwards.
Yeah, not till afterwards.
These guys bully me.
Curly Whirly Sector 2. 29.1 Sector 2. He's got 2 purples on the board.
I think this might be a pole lap.
It could well be. So he's going through the stadium section.
I'm hitting a bit of lag.
Onto the Mansell curve. I thought he was going to go for the pits, but it was a bit of oversteer.
I thought he was going to bend it into the
wall. Over the line
he
goes 21.0, Sector 3, and that is provisional pole with a nice lap time. So
was that a 1:19.4? Oh, with 1:19.0.
1:19.0, yeah.
Okay, RDB starting a flying lap, soft compound tyres, first time lap I think as well. Yes it is.
I will find him.
Oh, I nearly dragged the car out of the pits.
Oh.
You're meant to be a
Who's the rookie? I am half expecting you guys to pull out at Abu Dhabi and just completely blitz us on track.
No.
Well, just to point something out, Farfborough is going for the low downforce approach. He's gone for no front wing.
Is that because he's in the air?
And now he's got no front wheels.
He's got no rear wheel either by the looks of it, because I was just watching Hindle come through the stadium section. He's just popped himself 8th on the soft compound tyre. How's RDB getting on though, Jack?
1:29.9 first sector, 30.6 second sector. I don't think it'll be a competitive time. On the soft tyres, yes, but it'll be competitive for the soft tyres. But it's his braking, his brakes are struggling, and he's struggling with the oversteer. But I think, it's a 1:22, so that's 10th.
Yeah.
I'm glad to say that I'm faster.
Something that some of these guys that have come over from the assist drivers, they have their brake pressure really high because they have ABS on, and when they come in here, that brake pressure just makes them lock up.
Yeah.
So something they might want to think about for future races is just wind it back a bit and brake a touch earlier.
Kane Iando was trying to set himself up for a flying lap. Instead, he's in the pits, and it wasn't by choice. Hindle was also, he did a good Sector 1, a 29.2 on the soft compound tyre. However, he got a little bit messy at the start of Sector 2, and I think he's backed out of it now. Yes, he has, but may go for another flying lap. RDB, he backed out of his lap?
Just to let you know, Danny Relton has come out on the super soft tyres. So this will be his first lap on the supers.
Yeah, he's going to be one to keep an eye on then, that's for sure, on those super soft tyres. Also, Schmidt he's about to start a flying lap on the soft compound, so I'm going to keep an eye on him. But yeah, Danny Relton on the super softs, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
You know, I'm going to follow Danny round to all his lap. I've been following since the end of Sector 1. He's going very smoothly to try and keep those tyres as fresh as possible. Coming up to Renault just there. What I do when I'm going for my fastest lap, I will drain the car of all fuel pretty much to when your engineer's yelling at you, come into the pits, you're going to run out. Do you do that, Steve?
I do leave the pits for minimal fuel on, but also it can depend, because some circuits It's the second lap which can be quicker, so you might want 2 laps worth of fuel and push for 2 flying laps. But for here, minimal fuel.
Yeah. Well, he's coming down. A long straight. It reminds me very much of Baku, and I do like Baku. Everyone can knock it, but I think it's a good circuit, and it just struggled in its first year. But coming up to turn 1, brakes late, hits the orange curb, and oh, that's his timed lap deleted as he cut the second corner.
Schmidt is coming into the final sector now then. He's had a pretty decent sector 1 and a pretty decent sector 2, to be honest. Been looking very smooth and beautiful on the soft compound tyres. Currently dead last, a little bit deep though into the Mansell curve, but this is a corner where quite a few people have been struggling with the traction, perhaps turning a little bit too tight, and Schmidt puts himself in 8th and not going for another flying lap. But Steve, I was just wondering, before we was having about 5 minutes left of the qualifying session, whether you want to drop question of the day on us.
Okay, here we go. How many race starts have there been by Mexicans in F1?
Oh, by Mexicans. See, I was really hoping you'd say how many times the Mexican Grand Prix has been held, and I was just going to go, I know, but... by Mexicans.
Yeah.
Just let you know as well, it looks like Danny Railton is setting himself up for another flying lap. Either that or he's out of fuel.
I am on board with him.
Would like to have a guess of the question of the day yet? How many race starts have there been by Mexicans? Drop it in the YouTube chat and we'll have a read through them in a bit. We'll also be putting that question.
I'm thinking about that
question as well to the podium drivers. And we'll be mentioning it again later on. So how many race starts has there been by Mexicans in F1?
You know, I can't think if there was any classic Mexican drivers, like pre-2000 era.
Well, obviously, the name of this circuit, Hermanos Rodriguez, that's one Mexican driver.
Yeah. Oh, Danny's gone
but
deep.
Whether he raced in Formula 1, I don't know.
Oh, good point. Oh, I think... Yeah, Danny's pulled out of that lap. He can't get his tyres switched on.
Well, he may be putting too much pressure on himself. Tar Jam is on the super soft tyre, coming into the final sector, about to start a flying lap. If you want me to jump on board and I'll take us for a lap around Mexico. Been a while since I've driven around here through the stadium section, which I do kind of like, but I think they should put a faster set of corners through there, to be honest. And then the long straight, all about straight line speed, as Schmidt unfortunately has left the session. So as Tar Jam then in his first event in front row racing heads down towards turn 1. Braking point here is all going to depend on brake pressure, tyre pressures and aerodynamic setups, and he's hard on the brakes, gets in nicely into the apex, may have just taken a little too much curb, but takes 2 nicely, 3 nicely as well, doesn't use all of the track on the exit though. Now heading up towards the end of sector 1, a tricky little braking zone, and this is a part of the track that on the old circuit had a lot more little hills in it. Nicely through the left, horrible tight right hander, got to be patient, and now a double apexed hairpin which you could want to try and turn into one long corner. Now it's all about, have you cooked your tyres too much? Have you got enough aeros to really push the car through this section of S-bends? Lift around here to compromise the exit, to increase this right and this left and not run wide. He's quite nicely through there. Now a short little blast of speed towards the stadium section. Hard on the brakes again, get into that apex curve quite nicely, don't brake too late here, get it tucked in onto that apex curve, which is done again quite nicely. Use the curb on the left if you can, into the Mansell curve, all about letting the car run a little bit wide but too tight, a little bit of oversteer, now taking a tight line and then a wide line.
Fantastic
but it is
lap.
Provisional pole.
You know, sorry to interrupt you at the end there, Dave, but that was a brilliant lap. I don't think, I'm going to say this now, I don't think anyone can beat that lap.
Well, Curly Whirly is on a flying lap at the moment, and he's just done a 28.6 sector 1. He's on super soft tyres.
It's purple by 2/10.
Oh, Danny stopped on track.
Okay, focus on Curly Whirly then, because he's going to be, he's up. if he has a good rest of the lap, he's going to prove you wrong, unfortunately, JB, when he said no one's going to beat it. Curly Whirly's on course too.
Yeah, just to let you know, the current purple for sector 2 is a 28.8.
Coming down to the timing line now. 29.0. So my bet could still be winning.
It's any which way at the moment.
Yes,
all
it
about this
very much
final
is.
sector and how he's going to get the power down around the last corner.
He's going to be just short. He's going to be just
He's
short.
going to just make it. He's going to just make it.
It's
Oh, he's
fine.
gone past.
That came down to that tiny moment of oversteer that Tardam had in that final corner. Okay, Kane Ianda, he's on a flying lap at the moment, but he's just made a bit of a mare of it, unfortunately, into the stadium section.
How bad of a mare?
Yep. I was going to say, anyone that's wondering why we're not focusing on a few of the other drivers, it is obviously because they're World Championship drivers and they are guests in this World Championship reserve session.
Kane Ianda's just started a flying lap. I don't know if you just mentioned that, but he is just going down the start-finish straight with the super soft tyres on, currently sat in 7th place. Misses the apex of turn 1, compromise for turn 2 and 3. Can he get the power down though, and the DRS open at the DRS line? Still the rear end wants to overtake the front. Anything under his previous 29.2 will be an improvement, and it's 29.3. He's lost at 10th. Yeah. Well, there's a possibility he may improve over the whole lap. If you want to, are you watching? Yeah.
I'm watching him.
Yeah. I'm just going to see if there's anyone else that's currently on circuit before we get kicked out of the pit lane.
I'm just thinking that he's lost a 10th. Now, if Kane, see if I can find him again, if Kane can make up that 10th in the stadium section, then he'll, in theory, because he must have lost at least a 10th in the stadium section when he made a mess up. If he's kept the rest of it clean, he should be fine.
You think so, but he's gone for the pit lane. That would say to me that he wasn't happy with the rest of that lap.
Sure, I think that was Curly Whirly, because Kane Ianda's coming around the final corner now. You were looking at the wrong Mercedes, and Kane Ianda crossed the line, stayed 7th. Bit of info for you as well. Hindle has said he's only done the 1 lap practice. Well, I can't remember where he qualified. We'll find out soon. And obviously, I reckon what do you reckon, Jack? We get Steve to go through the qualifying order?
Oh yes, let's get Steve to do it.
I can do that.
Normally you make me do it, so I want revenge.
Okay, my answer, question of the day, and this is a random guess. I'm going to go with 5. There've been 5. Oh, hang on, no. Is it how many races have been started by Mexican drivers, or how many Mexican drivers have started races? Right, go through the qualifying order, and then you can tell us.
Okay, qualifying order. Curly Whirly on pole with Tarjam alongside him. They are both WCR drivers. Then we've got Breaking Plays 10th here, Jamie James, there from the World Championship. In 6th, we've got Danny Rout and 7th, Kane Ianda. 8th, it says Max Verstappen, not sure who that is.
Yeah, that'll be
Okay,
Schmidt.
in 9th, we've got David Hart, 10th, RDB, 11th, Hindle, 12th, Coming to Get You. And then we've got the commentary team, and behind the commentary team, we have got Farfer, who set no time.
That'll be because the wall ate his tyres.
That is true.
And I've